My name is Anna Mitchell. I'm the local history librarian here at the Wayne County Public Library. Today is Thursday, July 18th, 2024, and I'm here with Casey, Scott, and Laura to talk about the Creative Aging program. And I'm going to have them introduce themselves. We can start with Casey.
I'm Casey Mozingo. I'm the owner of Big Blue Couch Media. I have 25 years experience as a photographer starting in photojournalism, but now I mostly work with marketing and also do videography, some graphic design. I am a Wayne County resident, but not native, and I'm 40 years old.
My name is Scott Ashton. I'm 70 years old. I am retired 23 years from the Army. I live in Goldsboro, and I took two of the classes, the photography class with Casey, and another class which was the writing class.
And I'm Laura, and I live in Goldsboro, and I am retired, and I'm 63 years old, married to Scott, and I took three of the creative aging classes.
Hey, great. Do I have your permission to record this interview today?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'll start with kind of a simple question, and we can start with Casey and just kind of go around again. How did you find out about creative aging?
I was approached by the library. I taught a digital photography class using cameras like DSLR mirrorless cameras before, and I was approached and asked if I would like to participate in the program, and I, without even much consideration, said yes.
Sure.
I found out from my wife, Laura.
Good answer.
So that's a pretty easy answer for me.
Okay. Well, Laura, how did you find out about creative
And I've been
aging?
thinking about this, and I either A, found a flyer at the library because we do come here regularly, or I saw it in the Buzz because we're regular readers of the Buzz, and the library always has their activity. So it was one or the other. I just can't remember for sure.
Okay, perfect. So I'll go back to Casey with this question. You mentioned already that you had experience teaching photography. Did you have experience teaching older adults before?
No, and funny enough, even before I taught the photography class here at the library, first thing when I graduated college, I taught at high school for 2 years. I taught art in high school. So I had some experience just teaching in general, but formalized teaching of older adults, no, I hadn't. But of course, I'm a helper. I've always been a helper. So it's it's formal versus non-formal. If someone asked me a question about a camera or needed help with their cell phone, of course, I've helped people before, but not in a older people, but not in a classroom setting.
Does knowing your target audience and knowing that demographic impact the way that you planned for the classes, or do you kind of approach whatever age in the same way?
I don't think you can plan a class without being affected by your target audience. I think that's even when you try not to. I feel like as people we tend to do it just anyway. Um, I did when we were first getting into this. I did think about it, and that was a consideration in choosing whether to do cell phone photography or DSLR mirrorless camera photography. And, we definitely decided to go with the cell phone photography because so many people have access to a phone that has a camera on it. So I think that was a smart choice to begin with. But in that, you make assumptions that there's a certain age range that might have a digital camera. And I would say probably my guess was that more people in the age bracket that, this is targeted towards wouldn't have a DSLR camera versus someone that's my age that might have kids that take pictures of them playing sports and they want to, not do it on a cell phone. So I wanted to make sure that as many people as possible were reached with choosing the device that we were using in the class. But as far as like the content, I would say that was pretty minimum. You either use it or you don't use it. So as far as the age, that didn't have too much of an impact.
Sure. And I know that I remember, because the photography class was held here in local history, so I got to see all of you guys every week.
Thank you, by the way.
Absolutely. But there was a lot of enthusiasm about the idea of cell phone photography, just because of so many, we do have them, everybody.
Yeah.
Now it's like a necessity to have one. So I think that was the right choice for this first round as well. So you both mentioned that you took multiple classes, and you, Scott, you said which ones you took. Which classes did you take, Laura?
I took obviously the cell phone photography, I took the beginning painting,
Okay.
and then I took the memory to memoir writing class.
Okay. What made you choose those specific classes?
The cell phone photography just sounded really cool to me. We were both we wanted to do something together, Scott and I, and that we thought that would be a lot of fun, and it was. So that's why we chose the cell phone photography. Plus, we carry our phones everywhere, like Casey's saying, and we knew we would take a ton of pictures, and we'd like to take them better than we had
Than
been.
what we were taking.
Yeah.
Sure. Was that the first class that you took, the photography
It
class?
was.
Yes.
So did you already know that you wanted to take more classes, or did your feelings about photography influence you to want to take the others?
I think it influenced us to take more classes because we got our feet wet and we enjoyed it. So
Same with me. It influenced me to take the writing class, the memories to memoir class.
Sure. You have a unique perspective in that you are a married couple doing this together, and you said you wanted to do something together. Could you share a little bit about what it was like learning together and taking these classes at the same time?
we've just done a lot together.
Yeah.
We're real comfortable with each other, and
We did this, yeah, to me, we did it consciously. We wanted to do it together to grow as a couple and to learn something new as a couple. Laura took one class that I didn't want to take because I knew I could not paint a stick figure. But the other two, we said, okay, we're going to learn about each other's, especially the memories to class. We're going to learn about things that we never knew about each other,
Yeah.
which we did. And the photography class, we had fun going and just taking pictures together.
Sure. That's interesting. We just spoke with the instructor for the memoir class.
Yeah.
And that seemed like such a unique class opportunity because it did seem to dig deeper into those emotional and maybe often unseen parts of your lives. So I think it's interesting that even as a married couple, you learned about each other
Yeah.
in that class.
we've been married 21 years now, and he'll come out with something, and I'll be like, "What? I've never heard that." So it's wonderful that way.
Yeah. Casey, I want to ask you, as the instructor, were there any parts of teaching this class that you found particularly challenging? And then on the flip side, any things that you found particularly rewarding?
Well, the rewarding part is the easy part. We got very good feedback from the class. I think everybody enjoyed it. People got better. I saw people challenging themselves and really investing themselves and kind of starting to, it's not just it wasn't just how to get a better photo. We really dug into abstract and collage and some different ways to use photos even after you take it, and seeing people develop almost as artists, I would say. That was really rewarding to me. Of course, some people are going to be drawn more towards like a nice landscape or portraiture. They're animals. So, things that they have passion for anyway. I wish I could remember the exact quote, but it speaks about, pay attention to what people photograph, because that's what they cherish the most. So like you learn a lot about people, and that was kind of the first half of the class, and the second half of the class is like, trying to challenge people and get outside of the box. And that was the most challenging part for me is, there were definitely some people in the class that weren't as prepared to do that. And they were like, oh, kind of like, I'm not really interested in that. So like getting people to buy into something that maybe they weren't expecting out of the class. But even then, I like a good challenge. So like,
Sure.
wasn't, challenge sometimes can have a negative connotation, but I definitely don't take it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll ask the same question to the two of you. Was there a moment or something about the class that you found particularly challenging, and then something that you found particularly rewarding as well?
I like the fact were you going to say something?
Go
Sorry.
for it.
That street photography is a thing. I just like taking pictures on the street. So that was rewarding to me because I have a lot of pictures on my phone of just street scenes. So that made me happy. The thing that I thought would be challenging was the constructive criticism, but it wasn't. It was good for me because at first I'm like, oh, I don't want people to say there's something wrong with my photograph, but nobody said there was anything wrong. They just said, look at it this way, or maybe look at it this way. And then if I would make a comment about their photography, it was the same kind of interchange. So I was glad that worked out the way it did. I didn't take offense.
Yeah. And I tried to
was-
approach that in a way, and I've been on the receiving end of non-constructive criticism as an artist of someone that's just being careless with their words. But I really do, like, how do you make it better? It's not what's wrong with it. It's
Right.
how could you make it better? And sometimes you suggest something would be impossible in the moment. Like, oh, if you could have stepped 2 feet to the left or 2 feet to the right, well, I might have fallen off of a bridge if I would have done that. So, like, sometimes
Yeah,
you might have a suggestion that was impossible in the moment. But, yeah.
I did like that part of it because I think it makes you grow.
Sure, I like that something that you thought might have been a challenge was actually something you enjoyed.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice. What about you, Scott? Was there anything that you found particularly challenging or rewarding?
The challenging part to me was the first class. The apprehension of, okay, who are these people? And why am I really here? And then Casey did a wonderful job of making us feel comfortable at home and going over, this is what we're going to do. Initially, I thought it was going to be how to use your cell phone, not how to take a picture. It was just, oh, this is great. I'm going to be able to learn to do all this stuff. But then when I got here, I realized, oh, this is going to make me take better pictures with my cell phone. So that was the challenging part to me. The rewarding part was just actually meeting other people, doing it with my wife Laura, and learning how to take better pictures of my cat. And knowing that on my phone I can take a color picture and transform that into a black and white or an abstract picture.
That's very important
Yes,
to know how to
very
take good pictures of
important.
your cat.
That's right.
So you kind of touched on the next question in your answer, Scott. This is, I feel, a class in particular that gives you the opportunity to continue using your skills that you learned. Do you find yourself remembering things that people said in your class or things that Casey told you when you're using your cell phone now?
Yes.
We both do. We still talk about it.
Because we travel a lot, we take a lot of pictures on our cell phone. And I always remember, okay, how to frame the shot, how to get a good shot, number one, and how to, if I want to edit it or do something with it, I know I can do this and make it like a work of art, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great to hear because I do feel like with your cell phone's always with you. It's always in your
Yeah.
pocket. So being able to go back to your class and use the things that you learned is really important. And you mentioned just now, Scott, that you got to meet all of these really great people in your class. And, we've heard that over and over, that most of the people that came to Creative Aging, when you ask them, what did you enjoy most about it? It's I've made a whole bunch of new friends now. And especially like for you took multiple classes. So that leads us into the next question of, in what ways did participating in the creative aging classes add value to your life?
The friendships. I follow Casey on Instagram. You know, I see Holly at the YMCA. It's just nice to see these people. I saw Rosalind the other day driving down through our neighborhood. You know, I'm like, hey, there's Rosalind. You know, so it's just nice to see the people, and it's not necessarily important that we go on to become a famous photographer or anything like that, so much as coming here, meeting the students, meeting the instructors, and just learning something new, stretching ourselves. Is
Can
what
I add a little
yeah.
something about that? That's one of the things that I really wanted to make sure, like, that I did as an instructor is not just let them, not particularly you, but like everybody, go through the class alone. There's often times that I broke them off and put them into groups. A lot of times separating these two, because even though they were taking it together, and I found it, I thought it was very important for them to continue to work together. So I didn't all the time separate them, but I wanted to make sure that they also had the opportunity to meet and work with other people. But when you're working with other people, you might feel a little bit more comfortable asking a question or asking the opinion of the person that you're paired off with versus the group or an instructor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that creative aging, of course, is about teaching art and teaching new skills, but I think it's just as much about creating the community, and that's certainly what we've seen happen.
And that's what I think, if I can
Yeah,
interject,
absolutely.
is, to me, it was all about stretching my mind and making my mind work, rather than sit home in front of the TV at 4 o'clock on a Monday, was it?
Tuesday, maybe?
Tuesday.
Wednesday?
See,
I
I
don't
can't
remember.
remember. Whatever day it was, sitting home. Okay, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? Oh, now I had we had a purpose, and I knew through both classes that I took that was stretching my mind and getting my mind to work, to do not only the photography but the memoirs to memory class. Now I want to write my memoir, so that helped me a lot into delving far back into my history. So
Absolutely. It certainly sounds like it's been a special process for everyone involved.
I agree.
Which leads me into my final question for this interview. You both mentioned at the beginning that you come to the library anyway. You're here. This project, Creative Aging, is something that was developed at the library, or as a library program, for a specific demographic, to have a purpose, to have something to do, to offer these classes. How does it make you feel knowing that your local public library and its community partners and, the Arts Council and local business owners like Casey, how does it make you feel knowing that they care about you and care about you in this way to offer this program?
It makes me feel valued as a part of the community, and then I want to share that with other people. So if somebody says they don't have anything to do, then I tell them there's something wrong with you. There's always something going on in Goldsboro. You just have to look for it, whether it's the library or the Arts Council. You guys would have that music outside for a couple of summers. You offer other activities that I've taken. There seems to be always something going on at the library.
You're definitely right. There's
Yeah.
always something going on.
And all we have to do is ask you guys.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would like to add?
yeah, I agree. If someone asked me, there's nothing to do in Goldsboro, I would tell them the same thing. It says, for being retired military, we've lived in large cities, small communities. I grew up in a community smaller than Goldsboro. For the size of this community, Goldsboro has a lot going on. The library does more than other libraries I've been a member of that I can imagine, and it gets us all connected with the community. All people have to do is reach out, come here, to the library, and they're going to find a whole plethora of information and things to do to keep yourself occupied.
What I think was so important about this program, and especially offering it to people in an older age range, is that it was free.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
there's a lot of people, and that was another thing that I was thinking about as far as like cell phone or DSLR. There's a lot of people in this age range that you're targeting with the creative aging program that are on a fixed income. They don't have the money to go out and buy the best this and the best that. And when I planned for this, I used free apps. You can use whatever phone that you had. So I think it's so important. And, you know, I worked for the newspaper for 7 years. I came to this library a lot to document the things that were going on. And there's stuff for all age ranges. But I think it's very important. And this library is such an asset to this community. And it's not taken advantage of enough, for sure. But, like, the more programs like this creative aging and the more people that buy into it, whether it's an instructor or a participant, that go out and say, look, this is great, this is awesome, you should take this. Maybe it's not the photography that you're into, maybe it's the painting, there's the floral arranging. I feel like there's such a range of options within this creative aging program that, you know, somebody can find something that they're into.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about your experience?
I'm just grateful. Like Casey said, I totally forgot about the fact that it was free. It's very important.
Yes.
And we were both grateful for that.
Yeah, because I think most of them were 6 to 8 week classes, which is a substantial amount
Right.
of education to get at no cost to the students. So definitely is a good thing to bring up, Casey.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have anything else to add, I'll just thank you so much for being a part of Creative Aging and for being a part of this interview today and sharing your experience with us. And, of course, for continuing to support the Wayne County Public Library.